Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial how to design organic handles with Shaper 3D. In this demonstration I will explain to you how to set up a curve network, which we then can use to guide the loft command, creating a surface through sections and side profiles. The files are shared, so please download them so you can follow this lecture better. As always, this session is filled with many interesting sketching and modeling tips and shortcuts. And now let's get started. Before we go into creating our own curve network to make a guided loft, let's take a look at how everything what we have inside the scene actually works. So I turn everything else off besides just those sketches. And let's take a look what we have. We have a top and a bottom profile, a section, and then we have sections in between, plus left and right, front and back. We have rails. So the loft command basically works by creating a surface through all those sections and uses these rails as further information to where or how to position the surfaces. So for example, if we would select these two and say loft, now this is what we get. Okay, if we select those four and loft, this is what we get. You see here, left and right, I already am able to bend this a little bit, but also here, this is good, just not here. This is empty and what's going on there. And the loft command doesn't really know how I want the surface to look like. I just give it those four sections. So it needs more information how I want my surface to be created. And that is then what actually these rails are useful for. So after I selected all my lofts, I can select these four rails, loft, and there we are. See? Beautiful. Okay, so let's delete this one. And let's take a look at why I have there actually all these four different sections. So I need a start and I need an end. Okay. And let's see what happens when I make a loft only with these few elements. Okay, first look seems fine, but then when we go to the side, hey, what's going on there? You can see how actually the loft surface really follows the side rail, also follows the side rail here, but then, well, this surface is not correct. It looks like it's kind of like pinched in. And again, the loft command can't really understand what I want, so it tries to guess. So in a case like here for the handle, I know that along this area, I need another sketch, basically to make the surface flow through. So that's that other sketch I have there. Okay. Let's go to a side. Wow, that actually looks a lot better. Let's go to here. That also looks really good. Let's take a look at the bottom. And oh, interesting. What's going on here? We can see that the surface gets a little bit flat there. I would like, because you see how nice and soft this arc is, I want something there too, but along here where I'm tapping, same here. The loft command again doesn't know how inflated I want the surface to be, simply tries to guess. So I need another surface to stabilize. Actually, hold on. Let me go back. Then I will select this profile, double tap, and turn on the section view. Now there you can really see how wherever we have a point, it's nice and round. And then here, this is actually kind of flattish. So it looks like a softened, squeezed rectangle, but not really like this nice egg-like shape. Okay, so let's delete this. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then whoops, U, and loft. You also saw that the order how you click something doesn't really matter. And now when we take a look, this is much, much better how we have a nice big transition between all these profiles. Okay, so I hope in summary, this basically explains how the curved network for a guided loft works. Now with our sections and then the rails that actually touch it on the outside. Let's build the curved network completely from scratch. So we have this new file. I have removed all the sketches and instead I put into the background 2 sketches, hand sketches. And this is basically a very common situation. You have some cat elements and a missing piece and just some basic two-dimensional orthographic drawings. And they're sufficient enough to define how something should look. Very good. Okay, so we can now start by, for example, actually hiding these 2 elements. And we will create first the left and the right rail. So sketch, spline, control. I think this is actually the easiest way to start. Very important point right now is make sure that the grid is turned on because I will actually start snapping here. So click and click, 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 and then I will stop here and press, 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 and I will stop there. See, they are on the same grid height. Can move this a little bit around to style this a little bit more. Okay. How about here? This point can go up. This goes in a little bit more, maybe a little bit to there, there. Now this needs to be more this way. Okay, so now we see here we are actually short 1 point. Okay, can happen, not a big deal. I start actually simply drawing a new spline. There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you see, I put them very close. Now I delete the previous one and push everything into the position where I would like those to be. Also here again, make sure everything starts at least horizontally on the same grid. Okay, good. Now, we actually have the left and right rail. Now we would like where I'm drawing 2 lines here, exactly at this height point, I would like 2 sketches because we need to create the top and the bottom profile. So we go construction type, through edge at an angle, there, and 90 degrees. And one more time, down here, 90. Very good. This construction plane is really big. We can scale it down a little bit. Okay. So. Then let me show you something that's actually pretty amazing. That's a new function in Shaper. I delete these two lines because I have my construction planes at the correct position with a finger double tap. And now I would like to create a sketch. I will select the fit point because this sketch has to touch the left and right rail I created, and look at these magenta points there. So press, there, press, and there. So if we go to your 3D view, you see what happened. Isn't that amazing? Let me move this point further away. You see how the end of this rail has actually a magenta point. And when I select this rail, here is the magenta point. That is actually an outer intersection indicator. So this is where the rail intersects. Perfect. That's how easy this task is. Now, double finger, double tap. We make a line, little trick, because I would like to be symmetry to there. And then here, these two symmetry to there. Very good, because now I can simply move everything accordingly. That makes it a lot easier to sketch. Very good. Now, we have this side view and this front view. And we see I'm actually close, maybe a tick smaller. So you see nicely, even in kind of like a 3D view, we can adjust this curved network. Okay, now let's do the same down here. So we select it, finger double tap, and then same trick, fit point, click, 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 only 4 points. I do this line trick here too. And then U and U, symmetry to this one. And there I am adjusting this, the left and right part this way. So this dimension is good. How is this? Yeah, this is not wide enough. Not yet. And then, of course, these get a little bit too pinched. So I select the handle and scale this apart. There. Better. Okay, nice. Now, we have actually on this view, this beautiful left and right arc. If we go to this view, however, this is not a cylinder like from the other view. So how do we do this? So this is my suggestion. I try to envision when, and I will turn actually the grid off for the moment, when this is the midpoint of the lower line, where's the midpoint on the upper line? Okay, so this is kind of like an axis, and along this axis, I will create another construction plane. There we are. Then this line we can delete. And select this construction plane with a finger double tap. You see now beautifully on top and bottom actually the two intersection points. So we will start here with the fit point. Click, click, click. Or press, press, press. And with the pencil too, somewhere here the line. Oh, now we don't have the grid turned on, so let's turn this back on. Very good. There we are. Lock and these two symmetry to here. And then I can select this one and adjust everything till it seems to work good. Okay. Very nice. So this construction plane, let's hide. I will hide also the sketch so it's easier to see. Let's take a look. What do we have at this point? Okay, now there we have that problem we talked about. Now, let me show you something. This is actually very important. So I select these 2 points and move this one away. You see that these rails do not touch anymore. So logically, this will give us a warning. So when we snap this back to it, there it is. Okay, let me undo this step. Here's a little shortcut. I go back to the sketch plane, double tap. The main reason for that is I did not actually give these points a symmetry to here. Or I can actually also do this in this view. So the main reason for that is, so when this is off, I snap it to the right and the left one is fixed too. Curve networks are actually a little bit labor intensive when you adjust it afterwards. But you can see that with a little bit of smart sketching, particularly with the symmetry, we can repair the problem very easily. Now this was, for example, too narrow. So one tiny bit back there, better. Okay. I hope that this so far also was already a good demonstration and showcase why we use for some commands maybe the CV and why for others we will use the fit point spline. Okay, so right here and there it intersects, or not necessarily intersects, but the surface isn't flowing as I want. So I have this construction plane. I make a copy, rotate it. It's a little bit difficult to see in that view. There, and now I'm paying attention to where here and here it kind of intersects. Yeah, this looks better. Yeah, so here, finger double tap. Look at that beautiful set of intersection points. Yeah, I don't know which one that one is, but that's okay. I can just go into this view and then slide it to there. This plane I now delete. Beautiful. Okay. Now also here, if I want, I can select this and then the endpoint and move this. The reason why not to also not drag it and use the arrow is With the arrow, it goes left and right only. It's very useful. Cool. So we know when we go this way and then 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good. But then down here, no, from this view, we can really see this. That's just a general problem with how Loft works. Again, it has to interpret what I want. I'm not giving it enough information. So this we can hide. We can actually select this and simply make a copy and move it down. Maybe we make this somewhat, yeah, maybe like this. This could be good. Maybe a tick further down. Okay, go to here. Now we need actually to reposition everything. There we are. Pretty nice. Okay. There. Look how beautiful that shape is. It's really nice. When designing such handles, we also should be aware of how maybe the front and the back surface is. Is it wider? Is it more pinched? So I will change my sketches here a little bit. So this I will pinch a little bit more. Same here. Same here. There we have it anyway. So the back is actually more rounded, and where my fingers would go around is more pinched. So guys, intersect. Okay, so we might have to now figure out where was that problem. So I'm just repositioning all this. Ah, there actually it is. There. Okay, good. So also here. And there. This might actually be nearly enough. Let's see. Okay, so I assume here is one further problem. This is actually also a very good lesson about why to keep such a sketch very simple. Don't make the network too complex. You can, it's just more work to keep it under control. Because you saw like a simple change just with the tangency handles, change the flow of everything, and I need to readjust everything. And look at that. Now that looks really nice. So the back is nice and big and soft, and then the front is more tight, easier to work with. These planes, it's up to you if you really need them. We probably also can remove them, since we have actually all our sketches for these parts. I put this into a folder because I have also here another element, a nice sketch for how do we now cut actually the opening in for the trigger button. So this one here, I will extrude through and cut. Okay. And then can round this. Very good. Yeah. So then I have here a button. Let me show an interesting way to model. So I just extruded this by 1 centimeter, and you see all these sketches are actually at 3 different positions. And the main reason is so nothing of this will be glued or interfere with the sketch of my network. But all these sketches are perfectly centered, left and right, etc. So this I can now bring to the center. 2.5, yeah, that actually looks very symmetrical. Very good. And then good 1.5, so half a centimeter to very good. The handle I will hide because this I will run through and keep just the intersection. And now I can play with this. Does this really look good? Maybe this I will push in a tick more, push this in a tick more, make this nice and round, make this nice and round. And then these I round too. That's the element that's going to be pushed into there. Okay. More work, more refinement, crafting the details. Now we can actually take a look. How is the transition into the base and the top part of this drill? For example, when this one should rotate, down here where I'm pressing, there needs to be a gap. That's actually why inside this sketch, there is a small, inside this design, there is a small sketch called this one. And you see where it sits. And this I will revolve. And then you see where it is. And from this, I will remove this. So there now you can see how we have this removed. And let's give this a tiny offset. There. So when we have the tool body visible, there we can see that this is meant to spin. Very good. Okay, and that basically sums up the whole process, how via a smart way of creating a curved network, we can create the surface by then feeding the loft command, not only sections, but also rails.